So many stars out on the court on both sides, but for Gonzaga, the 3 Wooden Award finalists, no team's ever had that happen since we went to this era in the last decade of the Wooden Award being whittled down to a list of 15 this late in the year. BYU has its hands full, but Matt Harms, 7-3. The opening tip, 1 for the Cougars, and BYU has the first possession of this West Coast Conference Championship game.
One of the things that Seth Greenberg was saying in the studio was, hey, good offense leads you to good defense. And a big part of that tonight is valuing the basketball. 21 turnovers last night for BYU. They cannot afford to do that. They need a lot of that from Matt Harms tonight.
A big game from him would go a long way. The few moments where Gonzaga has, I mean, it's hard to even say struggled this year, but size at times can at least bother the Zags. And we know Matt Harms has size. Jalen Suggs went to the basket, got knocked to the floor, missed a layup, and here comes BYU.
You want to play fast, you want to play with tempo, but you want to be deliberate and sure with your passes if you're BYU.
Yeah, you already referenced the turnovers. They were so sloppy with the ball last night. Got away with it in an overtime win. They will not get away with that tonight. Shot clock winding down. Brandon Averett dribbling into traffic. Can he get a shot up? Well, he got one up there, but he hit nothing. Shot clock violation.
Dave, there's Mark Pope, and you and I, we remember meeting Mark Pope when he was assistant at BYU before he left and went to Utah Valley before coming back and taking over the program. Just so impressed with his demeanor, his approach, his connectivity with his players.
Player development. So many guys have gotten better under Mark Pope as an assistant and as a head coach. Andrew Nembhard hits the 3, and Gonzaga's on the board. Mark Few's already in a defensive stance. At least he was over on the sideline. This game means a lot to Coach Few. He wants this WCC championship. That's a BYU turnover.
What can you say about what Mark Few has been able to accomplish? 14 times WCC Coach of the Year. He's led this program to their first ever Final Four back in 2017. They're experiencing their first undefeated regular season. They've been number 1 since the start of the season. Have navigated their way through the pandemic, remaining undefeated.
Kispert wide open 3, in and out. BYU got away with one there.
Ill-advised to leave number 24 in white, wide open like that from beyond the arc.
Maybe the best pure shooter in college basketball. He was a little cold last night. Gideon George calmly hits the 3. BYU, they need Matt Harms, and they need some of those outside shots to go down. Off of Suggs' leg, out of bounds.
Yeah, Gideon George, remember that game up in Spokane? That was kind of his first, I don't want to say breakout performance because he had some in the non-conference, but in conference play, he was one of the guys that brought a lot of energy in a night that was very disappointing for BYU in Spokane. Remember, they took that game on 48-hour notice. They were supposed to play Pepperdine and USD, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're all up in Spokane calling a game. But Gideon George was aggressive and assertive in that game.
Nice move by Brandon Averett to score the bucket. So BYU off to a good start, and Gonzaga throws it away. It was tipped, though, out of bounds. Tipped. So no turnover. After that game that you're referencing, where BYU got their doors blown off in the opening minutes up in Spokane, Mark Pope very candidly told us afterwards, our guys were not ready for that big stage for that moment. Sean, they look a little bit more ready here tonight.
They have been much more comfortable playing with poise at both ends of the floor. Suggs, yeah, he's an issue for them. Dave, in the 2 games that he's had against BYU, he's averaging 20 points per game. He had 24 in the game on February 8th.
Well, you and I were on the call for that one. Alex Barcelo, 3, no. Rebound controlled by Ayayi. I thought Jalen Suggs, I said it that night, in Provo looked like the number 1 pick in the draft. Kispert another 3. That one well short. So Corey Kispert so far in Las Vegas, a little cold shooting. Suggs with the shot fake and kicked it back out. Good recovery by BYU. Now Suggs on Harms, shoots over top, air ball. Ayayi right there and missed the putback.
I would have liked to see Jalen Suggs attack Matt Harms off the bounce. That's where your advantage is going to be your speed, not shooting over the lane.
Freshman Caleb Lohner has been a big reason why BYU's gotten better as the season's gone on. He does have that range, missed the three. Suggs passed up the three, went right into Harms, but shot was affected. Ball goes out of bounds off the Cougars. So that sends us to our first timeout. Cougars with it. After she celebrated the buzzer beater, she had to go back to the bench where she'd been most of the game, sitting next to her trash can because she had the stomach bug or whatever she and so many of her teammates had. It decimated their roster, and she's made her only basket of the game winner with 0.6 seconds left. Corey Kispert, it was just so unusual to see him miss open looks like we have these last couple nights.
Well, I've been really impressed with BYU at the start of this game, being assertive. That's what, remember, Alex Barcelo had a ton of success at home attacking the paint off the bounce. And even though he got a little bit deeper than the logo area, I think that's where he can find a lot of success in this game.
First half against BYU in Provo, he was shooting threes and missing them. Second half, he went to work inside the lane. Now, some sort of collision, Trevin Nell off the BYU bench. I don't know if knee-to-knee contact, something like that. He gets up a little gimpy.
The big key, too, is when you're efficient offensively, and yeah, it's one of those knock-knee situations off ball as Anton Watson was rolling. But, Dave, I want to go back to one of the reasons why Gonzaga is struggling a little bit is they're taking the ball out of the net. They're not getting stops. And when you run good offense, and this is what Seth was talking about before we came on air, when you run good offense and you take high percentage shots and you're able to finish, it takes them out of transition naturally. You're able to get back, they got to take the ball out of bounds, and then they're trying to attack you.
Because no team in the country scores faster, more beautifully in transition than Gonzaga. Suggs, I think he got run into, but I guess he's okay because he's on the move here, got fouled by Barcelo. Teams have gotten beat up in this tournament, haven't they? Saturday night we saw some gruesome stuff, blood spurting all over the court. Last night there were bodies flying everywhere.
Why do you keep bringing that up? Why do you keep bringing up Markinson's shin?
It's my lasting memory so far of this WCC tournament. I've never seen so much blood on a court.
That's more memorable than Barcelo's reverse layup last night or Colby Ross hitting the shot to send it into overtime?
Okay, maybe not more memorable, but close.
Okay,
Joel Ayayi, who had a great tournament last year. He was the WCC tournament MVP last year, hit the three to put Gonzaga ahead. Now the rebound. Gideon George didn't know how open he was, but he did manage to finish.
Activity, being aggressive. Gideon George now finding his way in the scoring column twice. First offensive rebound of the game for BYU.
Ayayi again for three.
What makes Gonzaga so difficult, Dave, is there's on any given night, it could be a different player. They literally have 4 to 5 guys. In this lineup, there's 4 guys on the floor that could score 20 points. I know Anton Watson has done it, but I'm not going to put him in that category.
I think that's fair. Anton Watson's a good role player for this team. He's harassing Richard Harward. Nell got free, though, and he answers with a three of his own.
They need to get him going from the outside because he can really punish you.
Kispert had his pocket pick. Johnson flips it to Averett. Gonzaga got back. Here's Harward in the lane. Scores. Kispert, maybe this one will go down. No. I can't remember a rougher start to a game for Corey Kispert than this one, at least in the last couple of years.
0 for 4, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. While he's disjointed and not connecting, BYU is playing beautiful basketball right now. They are playing confident. They are playing as a team, understanding exactly what they need to do in order to be successful here tonight.
What a great pass from Suggs to Watson. He caught BYU sleeping on the inbound play, just threaded it in there, and Watson drew the foul.
Those are little things in a championship game we often talk about. both these teams are really well-schooled in the out-of-bounds plays and executing and trying to manufacture some points out of bounds.
Watson gets the first free throw to go. And Jalen Suggs, I mean, so often we see that quarterback instinct. He was a great high school basketball player. We know that he was one of the great high school quarterbacks in the country as well. Second free throw, no good. Gonzaga gets a point off that brilliant pass. Averett went baseline. Here's Nell, three. Good! Another one for BYU. Well, BYU has come to play tonight. And if you're tuning in thinking, well, is this going to be another Gonzaga blowout? And BYU looking like they're not going to let that happen. Jalen Suggs from way outside.
Great job by Jalen Suggs, but I am just so impressed with Mark Pope's team right now. The ball movement that we've seen the last couple of possessions. I want to go back to the previous possession if we can, because I think any great offense, one of the things you always try to do is get the defense to chase. Couple dribble handoff actions and watch. You drive baseline. Now you got two. You got two stepping to the ball here. Now you got three. You get three stepping to the ball. That means there's multiple options that are open. And if you're a shooter on the outside, get your feet set and line it up and knock it down.
It was a really good pass from Spencer Johnson, who made the big defensive play last night for BYU in their overtime win. I mean, the Cougars are no slackers when it comes to offense. Maybe not in the category of Gonzaga offense. Nell makes the second of three free throws. Jalen Suggs fouled him shooting a three, but BYU's a very good offensive team.
Dave, you have to, when we look at the categories, and this year offensively, Gonzaga, as we mentioned up the top, they're kind of the Alabama of college football to college basketball. So efficient, can hurt you in many ways. But that doesn't mean there weren't other great offenses. And I really think that the development and growth of this BYU team has really impressed me, in particular last month of the season.
Oh, did you just see what Drew Timme did? Behind the back pass to Anton Watson for the layup. Why not? Behind the back. He can do it all. Drew Timme was just superb last night against St. Mary's. He's had a great year in his own right. National Player of the Year candidate himself. Good defense of Yayi. Here's Barcelo, late shot clock. Harms, he does have range outside. The big man hits the three. That's not even 9 minutes, but BYU, very encouraging start. Nemhard missed it. Harms grabbed the defensive board. Averett was a little loose that time, but didn't give it away. George against Watson. That's a tough shot off to the side.
I think that's one you got to give it up, and if you want to try to get it back and repost and reestablish position, that'd probably be a better way to go.
Back and forth we go. Averett pulls up for the three in transition.
That's confidence right there. Dave Fleming, BYU has come to play tonight. BYU is not afraid of number one.
Of the first half, 26-19. Mark Pope's team has had a remarkable year. A lot of reasons why, Sean. You described some of them just a few moments ago. So much talent loss from last year's team. And then not only that, this year, changing course mid-year. I mean, they have changed their rotation pretty dramatically as the season's gone on.
And Caleb Lohner has been a big part of that. I mean, he just makes so many winning basketball plays for BYU.
Timme goes to work. Drew Timme up and under. That was pretty good defense between Harms and Lohner.
Right now,
Timme hasn't
BYU. It has 67% shooting so far in this game. They have not been sped up or disrupted at all by Gonzaga at the defensive end.
4 different BYU players have already made a three in this game. Johnson to Harms for the dunk.
Beautiful offense. beautiful spacing, and that's the role that Chris Burgess was talking to us about. He wants Matt Harms to do that. He's so much more successful on the roll.
You can see Harms is impacting some of these zags. Aaron Cook off the bench is in. Nemhard, I thought, had a layup but didn't shoot it because Harms was in the neighborhood. Cook goes all the way to the basket, missed the layup. He got right to the rim and missed it.
I'd go right back to that screen and roll action and try to see if you can get Matt Harms on that roll again.
Not very often this year has Gonzaga at any point in any game trailed by 9 points. That's the lead for BYU right now. Johnson three. Good. Another BYU player's knocked down a shot from the outside.
And Dave, if we took those last two possessions and showed you what BYU did, they did run the exact same play, except for this time the defense kind of pinched in a little bit to help on Harms. That created a little bit more of a run out.
That was a flop, and it wasn't called, and I do think that was the right non-call. And now are they giving Matt Harms a flop warning?
Yeah, they gave him the flop warning. But, Dave, let's go back to these last two possessions. I'll show you what I was talking about. And this is the first one, side on-ball screen, roll, finish. Nobody else is over on that side of the court, right? This time, see how hard Nemhard had to pinch in because Harms was on the roll, and that opened up Johnson on the outside.
That's great execution for BYU so far in this first half. Up by 10, even after that last Drew Timme dunk. Harms out, Harward in.
Third time all season long that Gonzaga has trailed by double digits.
BYU just keeps scoring. That was the point that you've made, that Seth and Lafonso were making before the game. You got to run good offense to keep Gonzaga from doing what they love to do. That entry pass got right to Timme near the rim. He draws the foul.
You're forcing Gonzaga right now to play in the half court because of your success in the half court. And Gonzaga has 0 fast break points in this game, Dave.
Amazing.
Part of that is BYU valuing the basketball. We mentioned the 21 turnovers last night. So far, 2 turnovers in the first half for BYU.
Second free throw for Timme. That one was too strong. He has struggled at times this year. He's shooting 68%. He shoots a ton of free throws. Kispert back in. We'll see if Gonzaga can get him going at some point. But the Zags on defense here, where they've really struggled in this first half. Averett, another tough shot, but that one falls down.
Attack in the middle of the paint. Attack the middle of the paint. That logo area has been very effective for teams if you're able to get there. When you have shooters, you can space the floor, find a seam and attack.
Great pass. Suggs to Ayayi, goes right to the rim. Suggs is so good.
His court vision and awareness is elite. It's different.
But Barcelo left him in the dust there. We don't see that happen very often. Alex Barcelo answered on the BYU, and Cougars just continue to score. They're at 37. There's Suggs right back at BYU. Wow, if you like offense, this is a game for you. These two are going back and forth in the first half. Last night, what did we say in the second game, the overtime game? If you like fouling and free throws, it was the game for you. Timme draws the foul. In transition.
It's a great foul, though. It's a smart foul. If you don't foul there, Drew Timme's going to finish. You know, just as we thought, Dave, we're talking about offensive efficiency. A team with
ball style, Stanford, Cal, and then we have one of the semifinals on Friday. Pac-12 tournament presented by New York Life starts tomorrow.
How about USC's Evan Mobley today announced that he was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Overall Player of the Year. What a sensational season it's been for one of the top NBA prospects in all of college basketball, Evan Mobley and the USC Trojans. I think they're going to be a hard out in the NCAA tournament just based on their length. It's hard to replicate their length. They're the tallest team in college basketball. They really get after you defensively. The key is going to be their guard play, and Taj Edey has been really good as of late.
Meanwhile, BYU shooting 75%. They've had 7 different players already score in this first half. They've made 6 straight shots from the field. Just red hot in this first half against number 1 undefeated Gonzaga.
And we talked about Mark Few, and he said, try to keep the competitive edge. They put themselves in situations where they're trailing. How do they respond? We mentioned only the third time it was at St. Mary's, at home against Santa Clara, and now tonight the 3 times that they've trailed by double digits.
Arms, well, I thought he could have just gone and dunked it. Instead, he just shot it right through. Another made bucket for BYU. That's 7 field goals in a row made. Ayayi 3. Good.
Joel Ayayi, he has been the best offensive weapon here in the first half for Gonzaga. I go back to Harms if you can.
Right now, Jalen Suggs is guarding Matt Harms down low. They never got the ball to him, but instead they did that. They chucked it in from way outside.
They're shooting 70% from beyond the arc. They're 7 of 10, Dave.
Timmy goes to work against Harms, even without a whistle scored.
Can you imagine what that building would be like, Dave?
Oh, boy.
If the fans were there, if the BYU Rock and the Kennel were all there in attendance, I mean, that place is rocking usually, but this one, with the way this game has started, man, it would be buzzing. It would be electric right now.
It has the feel of one of those games where this time of year, champ week, tournament time, all your friends start texting, calling, you watching this game, the buzz in the actual arena. Barcelo, wow, go figure, that's the shot that ends the streak for BYU, and nobody stops Jalen Suggs. He just goes all the way to get to the free throw line in the blink of an eye.
Dave, to your point, we've been in this arena so many times covering these games, and I couldn't help but watch the players as they were warming up and we were preparing from our locations. You're in San Francisco, I'm in Connecticut. And watching these teams warm up, how different the feel of that arena is and how they're trying to ignite energy for themselves. And they have to turn the key even for a champ week. I mean, this is the reality. That's the arena right before the game. There's nobody there. You have to self-ignite yourself, whether it's BYU or Gonzaga. How do you start your engine? Can you imagine that place split 50-50 with these 2 great fan bases? How loud it would be. We've been there when they take the floor, and you can't even hear. It's a perfect venue for this conference tournament, the Orleans Arena, and these 2 schools in particular, they show out in support.
They do. Some pressure from Gonzaga, and it almost forced the turnover. BYU got lucky, and then it turned into a wide-open look for Trevin Nell.
The pressure's not working, though, because they're getting wide-open shots from the outside. I mean, they're slicing it up. They're not turning it over. They're being sure with the basketball, and they're getting a high-quality look.
Ayayi 3 came up short. Loner tracks down the loose ball. Every time you think Gonzaga, here they come, BYU, and it's happened on this end of the floor. They're at 45 with almost 5 minutes still to go in the half. And this is like almost a perfect offensive half of basketball so far. Harward gets doubled and almost fell to the ground. They blow the whistle, call a foul.
You think about the makeup of a team to pull off an upset like this. Well, one, you've got to be able to score the ball against this Gonzaga team. You cannot play slow. You cannot be inefficient at the offensive end of the floor. You have to be able to score the ball. BYU is doing that. You have to value the ball. You can't turn it over. Only 3 turnovers so far here in the first half for BYU. And then defensively, what that allows you to do is get back and set up and force them to have to play in the half court and get them out of transition. Only 3 fast break points for Gonzaga here in the first half.
Jalen Suggs had to go to the bench. He's got 2 personals now. He's been, along with Ayayi, the 2 best on the floor for the Zags, so that hurts. Bell missed it, and out of bounds off of BYU. So probably, Sean, the last 4:10 of this first half without Suggs on the floor.
His aggressiveness and his ability to turn the corner and attack. Outside of Joel Ayayi, he has been the most efficient player for Gonzaga here in the first half. This is where having Andrew Nembhard, though, does help. We've seen him time and time again make that play.
And Kispert, that will help, too. Corey Kispert, nightmarish start for him in this game. Something on the court, so they stopped playing. There's the life from Corey Kispert, who's got a case for the national player.
Limited their turnover. Right now, Gonzaga not dominant. Normally it's the Zags we're talking about nearing 50 points. Instead, it's BYU. They're well on pace to score 100 tonight in this game. And as the guys were talking in the studios, we've been talking about, anything and everything BYU has wanted to find in the half court, they've been able to get.
Just an amazing half of basketball for BYU on the offensive side. They've got the ball here. Gideon George. Back out to Brandon Averett. I mean, Gonzaga's on pace to get close to 100 in this game. They've shot the ball 50% from the field, even with some uncharacteristic misses, and they're down by 8. Averett over the top. Harward caught, then had it knocked away. Gideon George was there, and they call a foul against Harward. Man, Richard Harward just couldn't gather because he had a layup.
He would have gathered on that. It would have been an easy finish for him. The defense left him all alone.
Timmy on the bench right now. Jalen Suggs on the bench right now. Anton Watson going baseline. Ayayi got cut off. Watson will shoot the 3. I think BYU will live with that shot. Rebound Cougars.
Well, one of the things that BYU's done a good job is they're taking away the movement off the ball. You're not seeing any of those typical backdoor cuts that we've seen.
There's a good catch finish plus a foul. Anton Watson couldn't wrestle the ball away. And this time Richard Harward wasn't messing around.
Yeah, Harwood played well in the 2 games against Gonzaga this year, averaging about 7 points and 4.5 rebounds per game. Just posting up underneath. And it's just too deep a post position. And Anton Watson's got to do a better job of forcing him a little bit higher up that lane. If you allow him to catch that deep and allow him to pin you on the outside and have his target hand going to the rim, very little that the help side defense is going to do to help you out there.
So Harward completes the 3-point play. Harms comes in. And Mark Pope really wants to do this. I mean, he wants to keep both players fresh. He wants to keep them pumped up like Harvard looked going to the bench there. Wants to keep them out of foul trouble. It's a committee at that center position for Mark Pope's team. Yeah, he didn't take the 3. Nemhard pulls up for a long 2. That was not a great shot, I don't think.
Not a great possession. I mean, there's no movement. I mean, what makes Gonzaga great at the offensive end of the floor is their movement off the ball and getting ball reversal and attacking the high post and watching guys cut behind the back line of the defense. You're not seeing any of that right now, Dave.
Well, they're guarding Harms down low, at least with Nemhard, which is interesting. Harms gave it up, even though Nemhard was on him. Shot clock's winded down. They haven't been able to get him the ball. Are they going to shoot? Nell will heave one up, and it goes. That kind of half for BYU. I mean, that's the kind of shot that makes you think, is this going to be the night?
Well, we've seen it before. The last team to beat Gonzaga was BYU. It's over a year ago. It was in Provo.
In front of maybe the loudest crowd that I've ever heard in college basketball. Drew Timme back on the floor and immediately gets a bucket. So those are some differences from that game that you referenced, but I'm glad you did it because it is worth pointing out that the last team to beat the Zags in late February 2020, 91-78, was BYU. There's a whistle, and I think that's against Nemhard down low. I mean, Gonzaga, the way they're guarding right now, often a guard is trying to push Harms off the low block.
Well, they're trying to front the post down low, and they're using guards with it right now and then trying to pinch in with help. Part of the problem when they're pinching in with their help, though, they're leading shooters available.
And that was interesting, isn't it? Jalen Suggs, with his 2 fouls, is back in the game. I'm sure with firm instructions, all right, you got a minute. Don't commit your 3rd foul, Jalen. Averett 3. No, too strong, long rebound, though. Gideon George there to get the loose ball. Nell will pull the trigger on the 3. It was perfect right out of his hands. You could tell it was going down. Man, has he had a good first half.
He has been outstanding here in the first half, Dave. He's got 15 points, 4 or 5 from beyond the arc, and the quality of shot in which he's gotten, they've been clean looks. They've been far too clean, and you have to have awareness here. George stops. There's a close out there, but it's late. And there's a lot of space. And Devin Nell is feeling it right now.
He'll come out 15 first half points for him.
He only had 5 points versus Pepperdine in the entire game, including overtime.
BYU, I mean, as impressive as that win was, they survived a buzzer beater from Colby Ross to get that game to overtime. BYU looks like a totally different team tonight. Suggs earns the second free throw.
Their best basketball season, Dave, has been right now in the last month. It really has been. And just as it was a season ago. And this is going to be a position Gonzaga has never been in.
And you've said it many times over these last couple of years under Coach Pope, where his teams just get better and better as the season goes on. That's a pretty good quality to have, in my opinion. Arms swarmed inside, but they blow the whistle, call a foul. It'll be just the 5th against Gonzaga. What that will do is mean the BYU can shrink the rest of this first half a little bit. Still not quite all the way to where the shot clock is off, but just a 6-second differential. Barcelo gave it up. Johnson down the lane. Behind the back to Caleb Lohner. And then he threw the ball, I think, off the back of the backboard.
Yeah,
out of bounds.
You're talking about freedom of movement, though, at the offensive side. BYU has had freedom of movement this entire first 20 minutes.
He was cutting better. Fouled.
Yeah, they're cutting better, Dave. They're shooting better, obviously, because the quality of shot they have is better.
Here we go. Kispert 3. That one well short. And it was that kind of half for Gonzaga. What a half on the other side for the BYU Cougars.
All the talk of undefeated. All the talk of how dominant when it wanted. Gonzaga did not make them speed up. Gonzaga did not make them feel them at the defensive end of the floor, and they were not disruptive at all. So the question becomes now, Dave, as we look at all these great numbers and individual performances, if you're the nation's #1 team, if you've gone undefeated all year long, this is the first time they've ever been in this situation. How do you respond here in the second 20 minutes?
Well, if that's just a glimpse, a very quick bucket off the dish from Nembhard to Drew Timme. So Gonzaga on the board first as we start the second half. The lead is 10. Wouldn't you have loved to have been in the locker room for the Zags just to feel? I mean, they have not been in this position in a long, long time. Just to feel what it was like with this group of Zags players who have played so brilliantly all season long. Barcelo, Suggs was on top of him. George 3, too strong. Lohner, though, went high for the offensive rebound. Harms, is he going to take it? Yes. Is he going to make it? No. Jalen Suggs all the way right into the 7-footer and then lost the ball, saved it to Kispert. 3, good from the corner.
Yeah, he needs to get going. You're talking about a first-team All-American, a National Player of the Year candidate. Corey Kispert, you have the leadership of this team. It's your time to shine here in the second half.
WCC Player of the Year, an all-time great Zag. George thought Lohner was open. That was a good recovery by Nembhard to knock it out of bounds.
Jalen Suggs falling out of bounds. Corey Kispert ready. Shake off the first half. Start the second half and build some confidence from there.
Barcelo shoots the 3. That one was way off the mark. And Kispert grabs aboard. The Zags want to run. Drop pass to Ayayi for 3. That one in and out. No good. Lohner snatches down the rebound.
The closest game Gonzaga's played all season long was the 87-82 win over West Virginia. Every other game since then has been by double digits, 22 in a row. They've won by double digits. They're trailing by double digits. It's down to it's 9, but went to the half trailing by double digits here.
They're going to call a foul against Harms, reaching in from behind after Suggs tried to get it into Drew Timme. Harms didn't like the whistle.
Good news is fouls weren't really a huge issue for either team. I mean, nobody had more than 2. Suggs had 2 in the first half. Nell had 2. Harwood had 2.
Here's Kispert, another look, and he hits another one. Corey Kispert's getting hot. That's bad news for BYU.
And we've seen him be able to turn it on in big moments this season. Remember the game at Virginia? He absolutely exploded from beyond the arc.
He looks like a guy who took that first half personally. Harms one-on-one against Timmy. Harms switch to the right hand. Rebound Ayayi. Ayayi found Nembhard. Well, they're asking Lohner, because Kispert's playing the 4 right now. They're asking Lohner to guard him, and he can't guard him. Corey Kispert hits another one.
Oh, my goodness. He talks about leadership from the middle. He might be verbally from the middle right now as far as his leadership in that side, that locker room, but his play so far here in the first 3 minutes of the second half has been out front and center for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. He was named to Sports Illustrated's first
10 years. Only 4 bigger halftime deficits. They lost all 4 of those previous games. Now, of course, this is a different Gonzaga team, but maybe tonight's the night where they come from down big at halftime and turn it around. They're down 3 right now.
What a start here to the second half. Corey Kispert coming out on fire. It was Drew Timme on that first possession. They scored really quick. All of a sudden, they're starting getting back to their rhythm of how they want to play.
Harms rushed that one. He had a great look, but just kind of shot-putted it up there. So the Zags have a chance with a 3 to tie the game. They were down 10 just a moment ago, and they're calling Harms for another foul. He locked arms with Timme.
That's an 11-2 start here very quickly in the second half. And there's one thing we know about Gonzaga. They can throw a lot of points up there quick, too. And it's not like in the first half that they were trying to be disruptive and not allow the pace of the play to go. It was just that BYU was able to score at such a high clip that Gonzaga was consistently having to go against their half-court defense.
Kispert, who's known as a three-point shooter, he's actually great inside the arc. That was a rare miss for him from close range. Down low, Timme got a hand on the ball, and ultimately Suggs came over and stole it away. Quick pass to Kispert. Timme against Harms. I think he stepped out of bounds. He scored the basket, but wipe it away because he stepped out first.
He got the ball a little bit too low on the block. Actually was surprised he set up to go that way. Good call, stepped out of bounds. He was so deep beyond the backboard, you didn't have any room to plant and really gather and go up. That's a good defensive possession, actually, by Matt Harms.
Full court pressure from the Zags here. Suggs got popped with the Lohner screen, freshman on freshman. Suggs is taking some shots in this game. Arms out, Harward in. Not as much happening on the offensive end in these early minutes of the second half for BYU, that's for sure. Johnson knows he's got to get one off, and they call an offensive foul, a push-off before the shot.
The Zags 3 for 3 is Corey Kispert.
Points in the paint, even against Gonzaga, is a victory. Now, we'll see if that holds up over the full course of the game. But Gonzaga just destroys teams typically in the paint. And it's not all just low block moves from Drew Timme. They score in the paint with their guards, with their big men, with everybody. Suggs got cut off there. That was pretty good defense. A lot of blowout wins for Gonzaga this year, even against their very best opponent. Suggs draws the foul. They have not played a lot of close games. Maybe, in a way, this is going to be good for Gonzaga to get tested the way the BYU is testing them. But you know that the Zags players want to keep that undefeated record intact.
And they try to avoid talking about it, and they try to push it off. But now it's very real. I mean, look, if they lose this game, they'll still be a 1 seed. They may not be the number 1 overall seed, though, in the NCAA tournament. It changes your path a little bit.
Suggs made just 1 of 2.
They have done an excellent job, though, Dave, erasing that deficit that they had at halftime. It's a one-possession game with under 5 minutes in. That first 5 minutes dominated by the Zags.
The lead was as big as 14. Now a steal by Timme. The big man will bring the ball up himself. Finds the trailer, Nembhard. Now Kispert wide open again. 3, no. Biggest Zags lead has been 2. They've hardly led in this game. Barcelo, air ball. My goodness, what's happened to the BYU offense?
Part of it is pressure is starting to mount on them because Gonzaga is applying that pressure. Their defense has obviously picked up. Their intensity is picked up at that end of the floor.
Timmy falling to the ground, tried to save the possession, couldn't do it. Barcelo, free throw line, good. Nembhard's going to try to take it all the way. He will with the left hand.
We didn't see a lot of that in the first half, Dave. Made basket and running off of it.
Very quick answer for the nation's #1 team, getting pushed by BYU in the West Coast Conference Championship game. It has been a terrific game so far, and Barcelo throws it away. Nembhard steal. Kispert in the open court. Kispert fouled. 2 free throws to try to tie the game for Corey Kispert, player of the year in the West Coast Conference.
3 turnovers in the first half for BYU. They have 4 already in the first 6 minutes of the second half. And the turnovers start leading to offense. That's where Gonzaga can really put it on you quickly. And they can go on these runs that kind of separate themselves. Now, they haven't separated themselves because of the deficit. But here we are with an opportunity for Corey Kispert to step to the line and try to tie this game.
Almost automatic, 89% free throw shooter. By the way, Sean was talking about if the upset were to happen tonight, could Gonzaga fall off the #1 overall seed? You'll find that out and everything. Bracketology this Sunday. We'll find out the whole field, 7 Eastern. The bracket actually revealed during Sports Center with Reese and the guys going selection by selection. That starts at 5:15 Eastern on Sunday. Then Reese, Jay, LaFonso, Seth, and Dickie V will break down the whole bracket at 7 with that bracketology special.
Okay, look at the 1 and 2 seed lines.
Yeah, you feel like, Sean, the #1 seeds are locked. Nothing's going to change. Maybe the order will change, but those 4 teams you think are locked in.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change that this week. I really don't. I think those teams have separated themselves this year.
Averett, I think that went off. Whose foot did that go off of? I guess Ayayi's. He hustled after the ball. It's out of bounds. Only 1 second on the shot clock, though, for BYU.
Have to have awareness. Hopefully, for BYU's sake, that they're communicating here.
That would be a shot clock violation.
Yeah, it showed 1 second. It was less than 1 second.
That was the world's fastest second. That goes down as a BYU turnover. All the good things that Mark Pope's team was doing in the first half have disappeared. Gideon George will check back in. The lead is erased. Gonzaga has a chance to take the lead here.
Gideon George's numbers don't jump off the page from the first half, but he was vital in their success defensively.
Suggs had his shot blocked, and then Harvard landed right on top of him. Here's a quick 3. No, he made almost everything in the first half, but that's what you're talking about. Gideon George there for the offensive rebound, and he'll shoot free throws.
Activity, in the intensity in which you play with. And for Gideon George, when he's out on the floor, that energy becomes infectious. And it starts at the defensive end, and it bleeds over to the offensive end, regaining a possession for BYU here and an opportunity, as he just did, to regain the lead.
So Gideon George, who was hardly playing in the first games of the season, has grown his role. A really talented player who's still relatively new to basketball. You can see the potential for him. He made them both. It's a 2-point lead for BYU. Ayayi made a lot of big shots in the first half. Here's Nembhard 3. No. Lohner, great rebounder for a freshman. One of the best young rebounders, I think, in college basketball.
Mismatch underneath, and a mismatch on the ball, too.
Yeah, no kidding. See if BYU can take advantage of it. Averett kicked it out to George. No. Well, they never got the ball inside to one of those mismatches. Ayayi, though, gave it up. That's a sloppy turnover. Averett 3. Off iron. Suggs passed up the 3. He'll take it this time. So those shots that were falling down one after another in the first half, not falling here in these last couple minutes.
And the pace of this game slowing down a little bit, Dave.
Harvard against Watson this time. Ayayi came over and Harvard passed out of it. Here's Nell. He'll go all the way to scoop it in.
And that's a byproduct of his success in the first half. Shooting the ball so well from the outside. Guys running at him. Well balanced. Look to attack off the bounce that time.
Ayayi thought about the three.
Without Drew Timme on the floor, and he's at the scorer's table looking to check in, there's really not anybody that they can play through on the block.
Yeah, it's a good point. It opens the whole floor up when he's on the floor. When he's not, the offense does look a little bit different for the Zags. A frustrating night for the #1 team in the country.
They was likely going to move to #1 if they were able to get that win. They did not. BYU knocked them off. They match up with them tonight as the #1 team in the country, undefeated in the WCC tournament. They've seen their lead shrink dramatically here to start the second half, but still in control, up by 4.
Timme back in the game. Matt Harms is back in the game, and he played good defense against the All-American candidate. Drew Timme there, forced the miss. So BYU ball, 11 minutes to go in this WCC championship. Man, BYU very sloppy with the ball, and give Gonzaga credit, ramping up the ball pressure big time. Ultimately, the Zags do commit the foul.
There's a couple things. You mentioned why is BYU not as efficient at the offensive end of the floor right now. Why? Ball pressure. And they're being felt as far as ball pressure goes, and they're initiating their offense a little bit further out than they were in the first half. In the first half, they got to their operational area with ease. In the second half, it hasn't been that way.
Gideon George went right by Corey Kispert, who got tied up, fell down. George puts it in.
And then flexed on him, too.
Well, you're going to take down the #1 team in the country, undefeated Gonzaga. You better have a little confidence. Suggs, that one was way short. They're calling, is that a double foul?
There's a double foul on George and Kispert. That's a direct reflection of what we just saw at the other end of the floor. Remember, it was George that scored. I said he just flexed on him. You know Corey Kispert's not going to like it. And watch the finish. He pushes off a little bit on it, flexes on it, stares at him. Bring it back to the other end of the floor. Things getting saucy here in the second. Saucy in Las Vegas in the WCC championship.
Hey, look, I'm not going to say these are two program. Mark Few a little confused by that last double foul call. So BYU with the possession arrow, they get the ball. That's how you sort it out.
Let's see how this plays out now.
Well, me too, because in those first couple minutes of the second half, I thought, well, here come the Zags, and they're just going to blow the door. BYU, it hasn't been as pretty, but they are definitely hanging around. Averett passed up the three. Shot clock winding down. Brandon Averett against the big man. Got to get a shot off. Nell does. No good. Rebound, Timme. Jalen Suggs. Shot rejected by Harms, the defensive player of the year in the conference. Just swatted that one away.
The defensive transition, though, was outstanding on this possession. Watch, first help side defensive player picks up, steps the ball in transition. Second one's rotating over. Harms comes over as the third rotation and blocks the shot. Excellent job defensively, awareness of where the ball is, and making sure you're staying in front of it.
Oh, what a nifty play. Andrew Nembhard faked the pass. The defense went the other way, and Nembhard was wide open.
Look at the ball pressure, though. The ball pressure a lot better. They are there on the catch. They are not allowing BYU to be comfortable.
Yeah, well, almost like BYU was going to take advantage of it, and ultimately I guess they did. Gideon George, another important play by him. He's stepping up for the Cougars.
I think he's been a big part of why this run hasn't really taken off for Gonzaga. Good job drawing the contact and getting to the free throw line by Drew Timme. And how about the last possession, though? You mentioned it, Dave. Pass fake. Watch what happens. Whoop. I mean, that just opens up everything for you. The pass fake is a lost art in the game of basketball. We're so keen on dribbling and trying to break down someone's ankles. You know, sometimes just a little pass fake, everybody forces and shifts the defense over just a little bit, allows you to finish. You know, most games miss free throws. Not that big of a deal, Dave. They're a big deal in this game tonight.
They are. Yeah, Drew Timme, this has become an issue for him. He's 4 of 6 from the field. He's 2 of 6 at the free throw line. He missed them both. The lead is still 6. Barcelo, nifty little move, but then couldn't finish with the jump shot. Rebound caroms around. Guess who comes away with a loose ball?
Gideon George. The second he checked into the game, he is an energy giver out on the court.
He is. Barcelo, count the basket with a foul.
What a response from BYU. It was 11-2 to start the second half. And it's now 18-14 with an opportunity to get to the free throw line here and add more to it. Barcelo with the strong finish.
Every one of those, Sean, that goes down, every single basket increases the chances that maybe, just maybe, we could have a major, major upset tonight. We're under 9 minutes to go. Nembhard it through traffic, almost lost it. Spencer Johnson playing pretty good defense. Nembhard found a way, though, somehow within all that to score. He's playing a heck of a game.
And he's got 11 now. Problem is, it's really been the 5 starters. They've got almost no production off the bench. When I say no, they've only gotten 3 points off the bench. Everything is coming from their starting 5 tonight.
George got fouled as he started his move, so no basket, fouled away from the bucket. Well, it was a good point you made. I mean, it's been a major difference in this game. And look, we know as talented as Gonzaga is, they're not that deep of a team, but BYU is using their depth, their bench, to great effect tonight. Here's Barcelo, gave it up, trying to get it into Harward. Instead, George cut off by Kispert. Shot clock at 5. Nell, 3. No. Rebound, Timme swallowed it up.
But look at the defensive transition getting back for BYU.
Yep.
And we haven't seen a lot of those easy runouts, pass, layup.
Suggs, 3. The freshman.
If Gonzaga wants to win this game, Dave, it's going to be at this end of the floor. Can they get enough stops? Can you sustain and get 3 stops in consecutive possessions? It's 2.
Suggs. I think Suggs came over and affected that. He went way up in the air. Now Kispert, blocking foul, count the basket, chance for a 3-point play.
And that's the danger. See, that's where it comes down to defense. And that's what Gonzaga is going to have to do in the NCAA tournament.
Wisconsin team in the Final Four ended their hopes of an undefeated national championship season. Those are the only teams since Indiana's 1976 national championship undefeated winner that have come into the NCAA tournament with an undefeated record. Gonzaga can join that list with a win tonight, but Sean Farnham, they're down 1 with 7:30 to go.
A couple stops in a row.
And who's out?
Whose ball's going to be?
I think it's Gonzaga's ball. I think it was off Brandon Averett. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. That was the initial call I thought was off Averett.
No, they're going to give it to BYU. They're giving it to BYU. Dave, and to your point, even more exclusive, how about being number 1 at the start of the season and being number 1 entering the NCAA tournament and never relinquishing that? There's only been 3 teams to do that. That UNLV team that you mentioned, the Duke team in 91-92, and then that Kentucky team in 2014 and 2015 in the last 43 years of college basketball.
I mean, literally, you're talking about some of the all-time great teams in the history of this sport. History on the line tonight. Johnson, 3. Here comes Suggs with the great outlet pass. Ayayi with the catch. George got back and blocked it, but they're going to count the bucket. What a pass from Jalen Suggs. And that layup with the goaltend call, will put the Zags ahead by 1.
Yeah, we haven't had many of these opportunities. Quarterback finding his wide receiver. Ayayi is as good as anybody reading that he has no chance to get a rebound. He's a very good rebounding guard, but if he knows he doesn't have a chance, he's going to release early. And when he releases early, that gives him a step or two. And when you have a quarterback like Jalen Suggs, you find it, you drop it in on a dime.
That pass, Suggs somehow got a hand on it. Man, is he quick on the defensive end. The first time the Zags have led since it was 13-11, 69-68 with under 7 minutes to go.
Unbelievable the climb back into this game. And every time Gonzaga's made a run, though, BYU has responded. Now they finally have relinquished the lead. How does BYU respond?
See if they can do it again. Timmy helped out. Harms went to the basket, and they found him, but he missed the layup. Matt Harms has missed a couple of those in this game. Suggs, 3. Rebound, who? Loose ball. Ayayi found his way to the basketball, and now they're going to call Nell for the personal foul.
Offensive rebounds have been extremely limited for Gonzaga. A lot of free throws now as you take a look at the number of fouls here in the second half. Gonzaga can manufacture points here just by being aggressive.
So Ayayi makes a free throw. If he makes this one, Sean, this would be the biggest lead of the game for Gonzaga. And there it is, up by 3. Pressure's been effective. BYU's just not been in rhythm. It hasn't forced a lot of turnovers. Nell, who's been so good, now has 4 personal fouls. Stays on the floor.
Different level of intensity at the defensive end of the floor here in the second half, though, Dave.
Totally different. And Suggs swats it away. Man, more great defense from Jalen Suggs, who I thought, Sean, had an argument to be the defensive player of the year in the conference.
Yeah, so good with his hands, so quick, whether it's jumping, passing lanes, or that time elevating up with the block.
Alex Barcelo, the leader of this BYU team. No, here comes Kispert and Gonzaga on the move. BYU got back again. Suggs whips it into Ayayi, who got knocked off balance and maybe lost sort of the geography of where he was on the court. Here's Nell. 3 goes down. Big shot to tie the game. And a timeout. I think BYU took it.
Great job finding Trevin Nell, who was lights out in the first half from
Sean Farnham to get the upset accomplished.
You got to value the basketball, and you have to avoid fouling and sending Gonzaga to the free throw line. In the second half, remember the first half I said, hey, they only turned the ball over 9% of their possessions. It's been 19% so far here in the second half, and they're fouling, and it's in the double bonus the rest of the way for the Bulldogs.
So that could be a huge factor. Drew Timme goes to work against Matt Harms.
Quick, decisive, and on balance. Great move by Drew Timme.
He's got 12. It's been a relatively quiet game for him. He's hardly missed a shot from the field. Harms, loner, just tapped it out to Nell. Open corner 3. Not this time, and a good defensive board from Timme. Timme sets the screen for Nembhard. 3, no.
BYU's done a really good job boxing out at their defensive end of the glass and making sure that Gonzaga doesn't get a lot of second chance opportunities.
4.5 minutes to go. Matt Harms down low. Trying to make his move. Suggs came over to help. Suggs couldn't get there in time, at least not to affect the shot of Harms, who scores to tie it again.
This is sensational. At BYU, their ability to find the answer.
Suggs, who's got that change of gear where he can just slow down and speed up when high off the glass. Zags back up by 2 back and forth we go in Las Vegas in a championship game.
As great as Kispert has been from the outside to start the second half, I think this game might come down to Suggs. His quickness and athleticism at the point of attack has caused problems for BYU.
Averett in and out. It just wouldn't go down, but they call a foul, I think, against Gonzaga underneath the bucket, fighting for position. So to a timeout we go with a heck of a game.
For Oklahoma, they beat Iowa State. They can get all the way into the semifinals. That's a big miss right now for the Jayhawks, and it's going to be a great tournament to watch. I can't wait to see Oklahoma State, West Virginia again.
Yeah, those have been great matchups. All right, here we go. Final 3:37, BYU ball off the inbound. Cougars, who have led almost the entire game, led by as many as 14 in the first half against the #1 team in the country. Brandon Averett scooped it up with a left hand. No. Here comes Jalen Suggs. Suggs has started to take over this game. Kispert, trailer three. No. Ayayi snatched the offensive rebound, and he was fouled. Joel Ayayi's been flying around these last few minutes.
What a game for Joel Ayayi. 15 points, 9 rebounds. He's been perfect from the free throw line so far.
The junior from Bordeaux, France. Another international player who's come over to Spokane, Washington, and blossomed. He missed the first of 2 free throws. He's a very good free throw shooter.
Dave, interesting, by the way, Gideon George is back on the bench. I wonder how long Mark Pope keeps him on the bench, because he made so many great positive plays for them when he was out there and how infectious his energy was. I think he's got to get back in the game here relatively soon, even for a short stint.
I mean, it's not like he's in foul trouble. He's not. That was a dangerous pass. Suggs went for the steal. Didn't get it. Barcelo. BYU down 3. 3 minutes to go from Las Vegas in the WCC championship. What would be an enormous upset if BYU can pull it off. They've played great. Harms down low against Timmy. Double team came. Gave it up. Barcelo hounded by Ayayi. Harms flipped it up. No good. What a defensive possession for the Zags.
I like the way they scrambled there. They showed, they helped, they pinched, recovered, got back to their guy, forced a late shot clock contested jumper from 8 or 9 feet out.
A team that loves to play a million miles an hour, content at least this time down the court to play a little half-court basketball. Nembhard weaving his way through. Picked up that dribble, though. Suggs 3. Another one for Jalen Suggs.
How about Jalen Suggs in this moment, the freshman? You want to know why he's so high on the draft board? He makes huge plays, both ends of the floor. He can impact the game. What a bucket.
He played his best basketball against the best opponents.
Look at the on-ball defense, Dave.
Just hounding Barcelo. He found a way to get it to Harms. Missed another one from short range. 6-point lead. Under 2 minutes to go. And guess who's got the ball? It's Jalen Suggs.
He's got 20 points tonight. A sensational showing by the freshman. I go right back to him.
They're just moments where he looks different than all the great players out there on the court. And there are moments where he's just different. Here he is. Behind the back dribble for 3.
Yeah! Stop it, Dave. Are you kidding me? The will of Jalen Suggs.
Barcelo, BYU needs that one. They need something. Nell, will he try one? No. Averett's going to go to the bucket. Miss the layup. Lohner had it knocked away. Zags come away with the ball. And
what
through
a second half.
All the adversity it has been for Suggs and for Gonzaga as a team. Through all of it tonight, here they are in position for another championship in the WCC. The Zags look like they're going to hang on.
And Dave, the question mark was this: how would Gonzaga respond? Trailing by double digits. People texting you and me, oh my gosh, they're overrated. They're not going to be the #1 team in the country anymore. How do they respond? They respond with outstanding leadership. It starts with Corey Kispert, and it bleeds over to one of the most talented freshmen in all of college basketball. What makes this team different this year is a player like Jalen Suggs. He has take over the game abilities, and he has shown that in the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, he's special. He missed both free throws, though. Those are big. BYU's chances are still very slim, but he missed 2 in a row at the line. BYU's got to get a shot off, and they got to get it quickly. Barcelo 3. That one goes down. So the Cougars still have some life. 82-76 with 40.5 seconds still on the clock. All the brilliance of Jalen Suggs.
It was the defense. There was no attention to the point of attack and initiating the defense and forcing BYU to be uncomfortable. In the second half, Jalen Suggs has forced BYU's guards to feel uncomfortable.
All the great players the Zags have had over the years, and they've had a lot of them. Kispert with the catch. BYU, see who they foul. They tried to foul Nembhard. They still didn't get the foul down, and Suggs found Timmy for the dunk, so they didn't blow the whistle. And Timmy got the 2 points out of it. Barcelo 3. Another heave. That one way off the mark. Nembhard has it, and now they'll get the foul on Andrew Nembhard. Some history tonight, Sean.
Yep, it's been a magical season. It's been a magical season, a magical run, and to do what they've done during a global pandemic, to answer that call every single time and find a way to win. And tonight they were challenged because guess what? BYU's an NCAA tournament team. BYU's good enough to advance in the NCAA tournament.
Yes, they are. And they had their best performance in the first half. Coming up next, SVP standing by, and he is going to break down this game. You know he is. Gonzaga's run at perfection. What a game we've had here in Las Vegas, celebrating all the tickets punched, plus a whole lot more. 2 free throws good. 10-point lead for the Zags. Final seconds from the Orleans Arena. Averett will flip it in. So the lead back down to 8. 19.6 seconds on the clock. Ayayi will be fouled from behind. It's been a privilege, Sean. You and I have had an up-close view of this season for Gonzaga, and ultimately they are going to be judged by how the NCAA tournament goes. But you said it just a moment ago, a special year for a program that has reached unbelievable heights under that guy. I mean, they had great success even before Mark Few took over as the head coach. But they have climbed and climbed and climbed to where you could make a pretty darn good argument. They are at the top of the mountain in college basketball, not just this year. What a program. Gideon George 3. No. Rebound. Kispert snatches it away. Corey Kispert had those few seconds in the early moments of the second half. He'll start to celebrate. What a career in the West Coast Conference tournament for Corey Kispert, and what a performance tonight from Jalen Suggs. BYU gave it their absolute best shot and still came up 10 points short.